What's up, y'all? I know it's been a long time. It's been about 5 or 6 years since the last time, I was on YouTube. But, I got so much to catch all up on. It's a big testimony, a lot of stuff I done been through these past 5 or 6 years. And, this channel basically gonna go, I'm not talking about trucking as much. Although I do have a lot that I got to talk about in regards to trucking, but this whole channel, man, we just gonna document, my testimony that I went through, in stocks, real estate, and business. All three. I've had my hands in these past 5, 6 years since the last time y'all saw me. So, but today, man, I really wanted to make this video and talk about investing in real estate. Cause I just keep seeing so many YouTube channels. I'm coming across so many real estate investors in the community, so many people I personally know in the real estate game. And a lot of people are just talking about how bad it is in 2026 to invest in real estate. And for me, when I first got into the game and I got my first property, my wife and I, back in 2020, shortly after I shut down my trucking operations the first time, my wife and I ended up getting our first home. That was November 2020. And personally, man, from talking to all these people and having experience in this real estate game over the past couple of years, I just noticed, man, that after COVID, bro, and not only something just went wrong in the real estate industry, but man, just something, a lot of things in the economy just went downhill in general. And I was just talking to my wife last night, and it seems like, man, this whole country, we basically paying for everything. A lot of the mistakes we made during COVID. I don't know if that's true or not, but man, it just seemed like there's a pattern that after 2020, man, all hell broke loose in the economy, man. But I just want to share my experience investing in real estate a few years ago and getting that first property my wife and I bought in 2020. So, man, basically, we bought a property November 2020. That was our first home in South Phoenix in the hood. And we bought that place for $224 at that time. 2% interest rate. See, that's what I'm saying. Interest rate was amazing back then in 2020, man. You can get homes for 2 to 3% back then. And bro, we bought the home. The home was super old, but it had a lot of work done to it already before we moved in. The home was built in 1949. And man, 2 years later, I ended up moving my mom and my little brother from Georgia up here to Arizona with us, and they lived in the home with us, and they was paying us rent because we were taught by a few real estate investing friends that the best way to start in real estate is you buy a property, you live in it, and you rent out the other side. So this first property that we bought, it was made like a duplex. It had 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2 doors. But due to zoning laws, we couldn't classify the property as a duplex. So we finessed the system. We just moved my mom and little brother in, and they just rented out the other side of the property. And they stayed with us for about 2 years until I had my daughter in 2023, and they moved out. But it was a good property, man. It was beautiful being a homeowner. And like I said, we just used that as experience to get into the game, the real estate game. And, it was a lot that went on, man. The home got broken into a few times. It was in a rough neighborhood. And but I love that home, man, and we just try to figure out a way to turn it into an asset. And also at the same time, I got back in the trucking industry and dealing with semis this time. Y'all know me from the cargo van days, but actually in 2022, my grandfather and I partnered up together and we got a semi truck, actually two of them. And I'll show those videos later on to show y'all exactly, what type of trucks, and things like that. We ended up getting two trucks and one trailer. And basically we made a major mistake on our home. We took out a second mortgage. It wasn't a HELOC, but we took out a second mortgage so that we can use half of the funds from that second mortgage to put into my trucking business. And we also used another half to invest in my homeboy, because he got a real estate investing company. We took another portion of that second mortgage, the money that we got from that, and we invested that into his business, invested in a few properties in his business. So, that was pretty much my interest into the real estate investing game, man. We just took out that second mortgage, put half of it towards the trucking company and also another half towards the real estate investing company that my homeboy owned. And it was just a lot of bad mistakes. We shouldn't have did that, because with that second mortgage, it increased our monthly payment on that home. The interest rate was variable with that second mortgage. So we got ourselves in a tough situation, man. And long story short, 2024, December, we had a floor leak. Like I told you guys, the home was super old. So there was always issues coming up. The AC would always go out, the roofing issues. So December 2024, we had an issue where there was a floor leak. Water was coming up out the kitchen, out the floor. I mean, we started to smell like sewer all through the house. And we reached out to insurance, and basically, man, them people had to put us in a hotel and an Airbnb for a whole month to get that fixed. And turns out it was something with the pipes. So they really had to get down in there. It wasn't that simple, as just taking up the floor, but they really had to get down into the pipes to fix this stuff, man. And basically we had to be out of their home for a whole month. And we just basically used that opportunity, man, to just go ahead and sell the house, because that second mortgage messed us up pretty bad. If it wasn't for that second mortgage, we would have just rented the place out once the floor issue was fixed. But we just used that as an opportunity, man. Let's get away from up onto this house, sell this. I really didn't want to do it at the time, but like I said, that second mortgage was messing us up. So, man, basically what happened was, January 2025, we ended up just moving to another place. We are currently renting that place out. We've been here for a year and a half now. And we was making two house payments at the same time. We were paying rent over here, and we were still paying the mortgage every month on our current home that we had, while they were still fixing the floor. And man, that was just tearing our pockets up, man. We had to go into a lot of credit card debt because we put the house up for sale in February. And bro, that house sat on the market for about 7-8 months. And every month, somebody would put a deal in, the deal would be smooth, and next thing you know, something would fall through, and something would the deal wouldn't happen. And basically, man, we officially got rid of that property in August 2025. We officially sold it to a Hispanic family. And it was tough, man, because like I said, we racked up a lot of credit card debt. I was working 2 jobs. I was driving a forklift at FedEx and working for a non-profit at the same time. I tried to do all I could, man, to help the family, to help my wife. But it was tough, man. But we ended up getting about 30,000 off the property. We sold it for 315. Like I said, we bought it for 224, sold it for 315. And we basically took all that money. We didn't buy another property. Cause like I said, this was at the tail end of 2025, man. So, you know, a lot of the things you're seeing now in the real estate industry, man, it started to occur back then. And, you know, we just said, man, we just gonna take this bread and we gonna pay off all this credit card debt we had. Cause, man, we was in the hole, bro. So, man, I just say that to say, man, at this point, like I said, I keep seeing all these videos and all these people talking about how bad it is in the industry. It seems like the only people who really winning in this real estate game right now are people who got in it probably during COVID or pre-COVID. Early 2000s or mid 2000s or whatever. If you've been in the game for a while, then you probably doing pretty decent. And you know, sorry about that, man. But yeah, like I said, man, I'm coming across a few older people who've been in the game for a long time. You know, I work for a bank now, and yesterday I just spoke to a man about 60-something years old, and I asked him, hey man, what is your business? And he said he invests in real estate, but he pay all cash for all his properties. So it just seemed like a lot of people who thriving are people who've been in the game for a while. So if you considering investing right now, man, I don't know. Interest rates are sitting at about 67%. Home prices are outrageous. There may be a chance if you go to a rural area or on the outskirts, but man, I don't know about right now. And let me show y'all a prime example. There's a home next door to my house right now. It's been vacant since November, but it went on the market in January. It's June now. Hold on. And it's still sitting up. So that's what I'm saying, man. You have to be smart. You have to be wise with what you're doing with your money today, man, because it ain't no joke. So I can't tell you what to do and what not to do, but just be wise. Put together a solid financial plan and make the right choices. 1.